Hello guys, it's me Aram and welcome back to another video on Aries TV. Today we're going to be discussing about an interesting topic known as characteristics of living organisms. But before we start this very interesting topic, I just want to tell why was I not making videos for such a long period of time. Since you see, my last video before this has been made over a year ago, which is quite strange. Now let me give you a reason. The main reason was because I just had entered high school and there was a lot of pressure. And I missed my old primary school as well. But now that's gone and we're here. Now let's start talking about the actual topic. But before we understand this concept of the characteristics of living organisms, you need to know the difference between non-living and dead, since many people mistake them as the same, but they're not clearly. See, non-living was something that was never alive, and dead is something that was once alive and died because of certain circumstances. Now let's move on to the topic. So there's 7 characteristics of living organisms, and I'm going to be describing each one with a short description and naming them. So let's start. So the first one's movement. Movement is going from one place to another. For example, plants turn their leaves to the sun to get more sunlight, and animals always go from one place to another to get either food or stuff. And we humans move every day in our lives. For example, when we need to go from home to work or home to school, we go all the way to our home. We go all the way to our school and back. So now let's move on to the second part. Feeding is basically getting energy from food, like let's take example, apples and bananas. They give us energy to do everyday things like going places, working, and doing stuff like that. So without feeding ourselves, we wouldn't be able to do everyday things. See, now let's talk about the third part, which is very important: respiration. Respiration is a very useful part, since without respiration, feeding would be completely useless, because respiration is the thing that turns your food into energy. So if we didn't have respiration, whatever we would eat wouldn't turn into energy, and we wouldn't still be able to do the things. So now let's talk about the fourth thing. Excretion. Excretion is basically the removal of unwanted stuff. Like, for example, when you respirate, your body takes the nutrients and then leaves out the waste. For example, a way of leaving out the waste is feces. Now let's talk about the fifth thing. Growth. Growth is very important, since growth basically means the multiplication of cells and growing in height. Growth is something you might notice in every day. Like, for example, last year you might have been like 140 centimeters, but now this year you have grown a bit, like for example to 145 or even higher. So that's why growth is also very important. Now let's talk about the sixth thing. Sensitivity. Sensitivity is very important to us. For example, when you hurt yourself, you immediately take your hand away from that thing that hurt you. This reaction is known as stimuli. It's in every living organism, in humans, plants, and animals. There's this plant known as Mimosia pulsea, and its leaves, when you touch it, close inwards. Now let's talk about the seventh and last thing. Reproduction. What is reproduction? Reproduction is just giving birth to new things. So without reproduction, our population wouldn't grow, and slowly we would decrease in numbers and be wiped out from Earth. That's why reproduction is very important. But in reproduction, like, your DNA passes on from generation to generation. For example, if you had blue eyes, your child might not have blue eyes, but then his child might have blue eyes. So that's why reproduction is very important. So guys, that was the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and stay tuned for more episodes. Bye!